Now from the CFTK TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou. Brought to you by Rio Tinto Alcan and Northwest Community College.
Welcome to Open Connection. I'm your host, Robert Pictou. On today's show, we're speaking with Sydney Maki, who is the director and foundation of the Ekitangaala organization that was founded right here in Terrace. Welcome to the show, Sydney.
Thank you for having me.
So, Sydney, I figure we'll get some background if we can at the first. Could you tell me, where did you grow up? Where's home for you?
I was born and raised in Terrace.
And in Terrace, and so, you know, I see the last name Maki, and it kind of surprised me a little bit. Could you tell me, what's your ethnic background?
I'm 3/4 German and 1/4 Finnish. My mom is full German. My dad's half German, half Finnish. Okay. So the last name is Finnish.
Oh, okay. So that's where you get that interesting combination of 3/4 and 1/4. Now, you went to school here in Terrace, right?
Yeah.
Now, as far as I understand, there was an event that happened to you when you were about 16, and it was an ailment called RSD, is that correct?
Yeah, I was actually diagnosed when I was 13.
Oh, okay.
It's a disease of the nervous system that's caused from an injury. So, like, I dislocated my knee, and it was triggered from that. So.
Okay. Now, RSD, what does that stand for?
It's reflex sympathetic dystrophy. The new name is complex regional pain syndrome.
Okay. Now, could you describe what are some of the symptoms and what you were experiencing when this thing happened?
The biggest one is burning pain, like just anywhere it's affected. I had both legs and both hands. So it's just burning pain, aching. Your limbs go different colors. It's just, yeah.
So you would actually, would it be like a red, like a scalding?
It would go red, it would go blue, orange.
Blue?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like the circulation sometimes would be pretty poor.
So what, was it something that was a genetic disorder?
No, they're not really sure what causes it. It's pretty rare, so there's not a whole lot of research. So yeah, it's just, we're not really sure. It just started from the injury.
Now, and you said you had this when you were 13. Then at 16, I guess you had, a aha moment, lack of a better word?
Yeah.
Could you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, I was reading a lot because I was pretty much bedbound, so I just spent a lot of my time reading, and I read a book called A School for My Village, and it was about a man who grew up in Uganda and started a school for his village, and it just really inspired me and opened my eyes to the suffering around the world.
Now, and of course, you were at that time, you could say, hey, yes, I'm sick too.
Yeah.
I feel that way.
Yeah.
So what happened after reading that book?
Well, I couldn't get it off my mind. It was just, I read more books and learning more about orphans and that kind of thing. And it just touched my heart, and I just knew I had to do something about it.
And at 16, you go, okay, I'm one person, I'm a student.
Yeah.
So what did you do then?
Well, it started, I got in touch with a man named Vanna in Uganda, and he opened a school in his village also. I was sick, and I was like, I can't really do anything, but is there anything small that I could do? I had no plans to open an organization or anything, but I just wanted to help. And it was around Christmas time, and he said, I want to give the kids mosquito nets for Christmas. So I asked him how much it would cost, and it wasn't a whole lot of money, so I'm like, well, I'll see what I can do. So I enjoy scrapbooking and stuff, so I made some bookmarks and sold them for Christmas and used that money to buy mosquito nets for the kids. So it just kind of started there.
How did you said that you contacted him? How did you go about contacting him?
It was hard. I heard about a man, like, online who runs an organization in the States, and he had been to Uganda with his organization, and he met this man named Vanna, and this man wasn't in the position to help Vanna, but he just posted about Vanna on his website. So then I asked this man if I could contact Vanna, and through email, it just started there.
Oh, so basically the internet was
it was internet, yeah.
when you were doing these mosquito nets, about how many did you purchase?
At that time, the school had 120 students, so we got 120 nets and blankets as well.
And when you say nets, so, I think of like a curtain or?
Yeah, basically, it hangs over there wherever they sleep. They usually sleep on, like, either on the dirt or on a banana mat. So, yeah, it just hangs from the ceiling and hangs down on them.
And it keeps all the mosquitoes out,
yeah.
So that way. Did you get any feedback from the who was the person again?
Vanna? Yeah, I did. He sent pictures and videos and everything, and it was just incredible seeing the kids' reactions. Yeah.
And we're going to hear more about this in our next segment.
Mm-hmm.
Sydney Maki is our guest on today's show, and we're speaking about her organization, Ekitangaala, here on Open Connection.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now from the CFTK TV studios, this is Open Connection, brought to you by Rio Tinto Alcan and Northwest Community College.
Welcome back to Open Connection. I'm your host, Robert Pictou. In today's show, I'm speaking with Sydney Maki, who is the founder and director of Ekitangaala, a nonprofit organization that helps those in Uganda. Now, Sydney, just before the break, you were talking about how you initially got a start because of some mosquito netting that you heard that some students needed at a school. What did you do after that project?
A few months went by, and it was still on my heart, and I was thinking about the kids all the time, but it wasn't until March that I really decided that I needed to give it a name, basically. I was in a wheelchair myself. I was still recovering from my injury, and I heard about a boy named Richard. He was 9 years old, and he was disabled. He was the son of the local witch doctor who had passed away, so he was an orphan. He was living with his brother. And in Uganda, when you're disabled, you usually aren't allowed to go to school. But his brother was a principal of the school, so he was allowed to go. And then his brother passed away in a car accident, so Richard was left on his own. And Vanna, our operations director, he invited Richard to come to school, and Richard was thrilled because normally he wouldn't get that opportunity. So he would crawl to school, like on his hands and knees. His hands are curled up, so he would crawl about 2 kilometers every day to school. But during the rainy season, he couldn't navigate through the mud. It rains about 6 months out of the year there. So he was going to school for 6 months out of the year, but that was it. So Vanna told me about this boy. It was just, he sent me basically the story of some of the children, and Richard was just in the group, but he really touched my heart, and I asked Vanna, is there anything I can do for Richard? And he said, well, a wheelchair would help. And I was like, okay, how much is a wheelchair? And he said about $150. And I'm like, well, we could do that. So I started just spreading the word, friends and family and stuff, and within a couple of weeks we had enough for the wheelchair. So we bought Richard his wheelchair, and he was just thrilled. I remember his response. Vanna emailed me, and he said, when he got his chair, he said, I never could have imagined that someone would care about me like that they would let me go to school and give me this chair. So we moved him into a foster family near the school, so he's only about 1 kilometer away now, and he has foster siblings who push him to school every day, and he lights up the room, yeah.
So the wheelchair project, so was that just the only one you did, or did you do
that
more?
was, for now. There's definitely some other children who could make use of it, of wheelchairs in the future, but.
So were you surprised when you found out that, a disabled person isn't allowed to go to school?
I was. It's not, legally it's not a rule, like you can't go to school, but it's just not acceptable to people there, because you're considered cursed if you have any kind of disability.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
When you were, and what grade is he in?
He's 9 years old, so he started in grade 1. A lot of the students there are behind, so they're like, say, 15 in grade 2 and stuff. So he started in grade 1 when we brought him to the school.
You were mentioning that this was one of the first projects that Ekitangaala, is that?
Ekitangaala.
What does that mean?
Ekitangaala is the local language is Luganda, and it means light. So, yeah, it's just, the children there are surrounded by so much darkness, and it's our goal to bring light to their lives.
And you started this, how old were you then?
I was 16.
16.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you were just like, no, I'm going to do something about this.
Yeah.
So that was the first project that you did.
It was, yeah.
Well, go ahead.
It was after that I decided to give it a name and actually turn it into an organization.
And when you turned it into an organization, what were some of the things did you have to fill some paperwork out and
Yeah,
stuff?
we just finished recently becoming incorporated as a nonprofit. We have a really wonderful lawyer who's helping us, so yeah.
So we were kind of surprised. Was he surprised when someone, you're
I
how
think
old
so.
now?
18.
18. So he was surprised that it's like, okay, this person's 18 and they want to do a nonprofit.
Yeah.
He was shocked with that, or
I would say so. Yeah.
so. What were some of the? On your website, you have several. One of them's a feeding program.
Yes.
What is that about?
Well, we now have 500 students at our school, and they're all either single or double orphans, as we say. So they've either lost one or both parents, usually to AIDS. So we feed the children. We give them breakfast and lunch every day. And then dinner they usually figure out on their own. We kind of want them to still have responsibility and learn to cook for themselves and find food for themselves, but we still provide them with breakfast and lunch so that they can come to school rather than skipping school to try and find food.
So that way you can make sure that they actually have one good meal.
Yeah, for sure.
Sydney Maki is our guest. She is the founder and director of the Ekitangaala here on Open Connection.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now from the CFTK TV studios, this is Open Connection, brought to you by Rio Tinto Alcan and Northwest Community College.
Welcome back to Open Connection. I'm your host, Robert Pictou. We are speaking with Sydney Maki, who is the founder and director of Ekitangaala here in Terrace. Now, Sydney, just before the break, you were telling me about some of the projects, like we touched on the Wheeltail project and also the feeding program for that you're having there and for the students in Uganda. When I was going through your website, I kind of noticed that you had an interesting title for a project. It was called Jiggers and Shoes. Could you tell me a little bit about that one?
Yeah, jiggers are a huge thing in Uganda. It's a parasite, basically, that embeds in the feet. Most people there don't wear shoes because they can't afford them. So they're like sand fleas, basically. They latch onto your feet and then do nasty things from there. So yeah, they cause a lot of pain and itching. So basically it got to a point where our students were having a hard time focusing because of the jiggers. Most students walk an average of 3 kilometers every day to get to school in bare feet through the jungle and stuff. So every year, 2 years now, we've done, in July, we do a jigger removal, it's called. You use a safety pin, and I won't go into details, but remove the jiggers from the feet. And then put antibacterial ointment on there and wrap the feet. And then we did that last July and then again this July. This year I was actually there, which was exciting. And then we decided to give all the children a pair of shoes. So we have 500 children at the school. So we brought 300 pairs of shoes from Canada that were all donated by our supporters. And then we bought 200 pairs there because it's really important to me to support the local businesses there. So yeah, we gave all 500 children their first pair of shoes, and if we need to, we'll do more jigger removals in the future. So.
Now, you said that, what time of year does the removal time? Or?
We do it in July.
Why July? Is it?
That's just usually when it gets to the point of, it's the end of the hot season. Cold season begins in the summer, like our summer. So the hot season is when the jiggers are out the most. So they just get overbearing at that point.
Oh, okay. So and then at the end of the season, basically you kind of do the removal. Yeah. And you said, was this the first year you did the jiggers and shoes?
We've done 2 now. Yeah.
So
this is the first year we did the shoes.
When you did the shoes, What was the reaction you got?
It was incredible. I can't even explain it. It just, like, it's their first pair of shoes that they've ever had. So we got all different kinds of colors and stuff, and just seeing them pick. The coolest moment for me, there was a boy named Eddie, and he's 14, in grade 3, and he's the caretaker to his 5 siblings because his parents have passed away. And I donated a pair of shoes from when I was young. Bright pink Wilson running shoes, and those are the shoes he chose because they fit him perfectly, and he was just beaming. And yeah, it's just incredible seeing their reactions.
Now, when they have these shoes, I mean, that you said this is the first pair, so no one's ever...
No one has shoes really there. Just shoes there are about $3 a pair, and that's a lot more than anyone makes a lot of the time. So, yeah.
If we had to kind of make it kind of regional, what would be a working wage roughly there?
Well, they live below the poverty line, which is $1 a day, basically. But the thing is, most of the children we work with are child-headed homes, so a child under 14 is the caretaker. So they aren't able to work if they're going to school. So basically they make nothing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So it sounds like it was almost Christmas for them, which is actually there was that's another one of your projects. It was a Christmas program?
Yeah. We've done the Christmas program technically 3 years now. The mosquito nets were kind of the first one. And then in 2013 we did a big feast. Like the feeding program, we do beans and pasho, which is cornmeal porridge kind of. So for Christmas we did a big meal with meat, vegetables, mango juice, everything for all 500 students. So we did that, and then last year, like 2013, we also gave them t-shirts. A lot of them, it was their first t-shirt. They either don't have a shirt or they just have their school uniform, and it gets worn out really quick when they're wearing it home. So we got them all a t-shirt. And then this last year, we did the feast again, and then we also gave them school books, like notebooks. The school doesn't really have paper, so it's all memorization, basically, is the school there. So we gave them all 3 journals, basically, so they can use for school or for writing their thoughts or whatever.
Sounds like some wonderful things are going on. Sydney Maki is our guest. She is the founder and director of the Ekitangaala. You'll be hearing more coming up on Open Connection.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now from the CFTK TV studios, this is Open Connection, brought to you by Rio Tinto Alcan and Northwest Community College.
Welcome back to Open Connection. I'm your host, Robert Pictou. I'm sitting down with founder and director of Ekitangaala, Sydney Maki. Now, Sydney, before the break, you were talking about some of the programs that you have done in the past, like the Chiggers and Shoes and the Wheelchair Project. But do you have future projects that you're working on?
We do. Our biggest goal right now is buying the property next to our school. We have 1 acre of land, and there's a 1 acre property right next door where we could expand our ministry. We have big dreams. I'm planning to be a midwife, so I'd like to open a birthing center there. It would also expand the farming area so that we could grow our own food for the feeding program. Create some sustainability. We have a whole bunch. It's overwhelming how many needs there are right now, but it'd be nice to build a new school building. We have a very temporary structure right now of wood, and technically it's supposed to be brick, so eventually that would be nice to
It'd be good to have.
Yeah.
You said, and you have 500 students? So 500 students, that sounds like you have some teachers there? Or?
Yes, we have 10 teachers. When I started supporting the school, there was about 100 students and 3 teachers. So now we have 500 students and 10 teachers, also 3 cooks and a watchman for the night. So one of our biggest parts of our ministry is paying the teachers' salaries because the children are orphaned and can't provide for themselves. They can't pay school fees. So we pay the teachers. When we started supporting the school, they're working as volunteers. But then because they're qualified teachers, they're recruited to government schools where they get paid more. So it's really important to me that we start paying them so that they can provide for their own families and continue to work in a place that they love. So.
Yeah, so that way they can, in addition to they can be part of the community also.
Yeah.
You were mentioning that buying an adjacent property and doing some farming. Do you have is there any special farming techniques you have to adapt to? Or?
Yeah, one thing we had the opportunity to do is train our staff in a program called Farming God's Way. Basically, in Uganda, in that area, Rakai, it's very common to mix in witchcraft into their farming and things like that, which aren't the best methods. Yeah. So Farming God's Way is it's a program that teaches basically a method of farming that is sustainable and produces more crop. So the teachers were trained in that, but now we don't have the land to farm. The land we're on is very rocky. The one next door is more soil, so it'd be really nice to be able to start farming there.
Have your own, some fresh soil to work with.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, do you have any plants that you got planned that you want to plant there?
The biggest one is maize, corn, that creates posho, and basically most of the foods they eat is based off of corn.
So it sounds like one of the staples of the diet.
Yeah, it is, for sure.
Now, we've talked about a lot of different things and a lot of things that you have going on here. Where, if someone wanted to find more information, where would they go?
We have a website. It's www.ekitangaala.org. It's EKITANGAALA. So yeah, we have different tabs on there. There's contact or donate or whichever, just to learn more, see more pictures. And we also have a Facebook page, which is Ekitangaala Ministries.
And one of the things I thought that was interesting on your website is you had several, one of them was home project and about Ekitangaala, but also you have a blog there too, right?
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you put in your blog?
Oh, I'm not the best at blogging. I try to do it somewhat regularly to just keep everyone in the loop with what's new. So I either post something that's going on in my life that I've learned about ministry, or just a new project we've started, or if we hire a new teacher, I usually post on there a little bit about them and their photos and stuff. So yeah, it's all different stuff.
So it's kind of your way of actually showing the world about this little village that's in Uganda.
Just making it more personal, making them connect with me, I guess, so that they can be more connected.
People will be able to find you by your contact information that's on the website?
Yeah.
And on your Facebook, do you post some pictures or stuff like that?
Yes. It's pictures, updates, anything that is basically posted to the website goes to Facebook to make it more